one Maniac Shadow down?
Yeah.
That's a very Patrick Chapin thing to do.
It is. There are also 4 copies of Cryptic Command. 4. That's a hard card to play 4 copies of, but Chapin's not scared. He's playing against Blue-Red Twin right now, and he's up a game, and that's Grixis control. You better believe it. This is Patrick Chapin. You don't need no twins. You know, Pester Mites, no Deceiver X Arts.
Settle in.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. I'm hoping there's a Cruel Ultimatum in this 75.
Oh, you like Abrupt Decay against Grixis deck? How about this creature base? 4 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Tassikers, 3 Gurmag Angler.
Not Abrupt Decay anything there. Patrick going to finish resolving a Serum Visions before passing the turn back over to Grant, who is, again, playing Blue-Red Twin. Checking here, he does have a Stomping Ground in play. It's probably just for Ancient Grudge. And it is, so we'll classify this as Blue-Red Twin.
And this is already a pretty troubling draw here for Grant, as he has a Mountain and a Stomping Ground. And often these games just come down to how much blue mana do you have? How successfully can you navigate the counterspell fights when they come up?
Other Serum Visions here for Chapin. Now remember, what's interesting, think of a Pro Tour Fate Reforged. Chapin 3-0'd the booster draft at that tournament, and then 05 constructed. And when he wrote his article about what he played, he kind of played like this weird Esper deck. With Tassikers and Gurmag Anglers and Thought Scours and Mirish's Baubles and all this crazy stuff to be able to basically cheat the Angler into play. And at that time, people were just saying, you know, the deck you played was horrible. Why would you ever do this? And Chapin is not afraid to risk it in a tournament because he's in Pro Tours. He's not there top 32, top 64. He's there to win the tournament. So he'll risk playing what many will consider to be a bad deck if he believes in something. And kind of looking back at things now, you know, did he find the perfect base for that tournament? Obviously not. And he also said he didn't play particularly well. But now we look at Gurmag Angler and Tasker, and these are modern staples.
Yeah, way ahead of the curve in terms of Gurmag Angler. And any Delve card is likely to have some burn here in Modern. Just the function of cheap cantrips and fetch lands.
Chapin going to manlink that end of turn. Even Dillian click there from Knierim.
Chapin probably a little stoked that happened. I think he was about to discard to hand size and got to instead cast a Mana Leak on a very valuable card in Vendilion Click.
Here's a copy of Jace Architect a lot because the window is open to cast this bad boy. Got to take it down. Little Steam Vents, Electrolyze, and Serum Visions. Mini Factor Fiction, Chapin will have to split up those cards. Quite a few cards right now in Knierim's hand as well, so some pretty good options available off of this Jace.
Now this is the cost of, or one of the costs at least, of playing a threat-like control deck is Resolve Planeswalkers are going to be problematic. This is going to be a guaranteed source of card advantage for Grant every time it resolves.
Now here's Serum Visions. Draw a card. And scry 2. Both cards going to go to the bottom very quickly. Now we go Chapin's way. He's a little behind on lands right now in this control matchup. He's having some difficulty finding them with all the card drawing he's been doing.
Yeah, this is definitely a deck that's using its graveyard as a resource here. Only 21 lands total. Pretty light for a deck with 4 copies of Cryptic Command, but there are a lot of cantrips. Serum Visions, Thought Scour.
Snapcaster Mage right now is going to flashback Serum Vision, so Chapin is digging pretty hard for a land right now. He was not able to find one, picked up a copy of Mana Leak. The Scry will net at least 1 Scalding Tarn. There's also a Gurmag Angler up there too.
Gurmag Angler is a pretty potent threat for Chapin in this matchup. Not the easiest thing for Grant to kill with red removal, and it's something that he can play for 1 mana and be able to actually win a counterspell war over should Grant decide to fight back.
Chapin has discarded the Shadow of Doubt. Now, I'm not happy about that. No getting him to be done. Does that still fall in the get him camp?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're the leader of the camp, so I just wanted to confirm that to be true.
Grant cracks that fetch land, you get him.
Yep.
4 Fulminator Mages in the sideboard to supplement that plan. Probably not in during this matchup. Probably not, but you don't know for sure.
Jace is going to tick up to 3.
You got Snapcaster Mage to pair with your Shadow of Doubt. 4 of them. So I'm counting in the list, and then there's Kolaghan's commands. You can get them about 11 times, is about the ceiling in Chapin's list here. That's a lot.
Well, Chapin's in some trouble here. Here's a Vendilion click. And Knierim can certainly work his way through, Mana Leak. See the 3 mana available there. It's going to be a remand. Of course, this Vendilion click being cast in the draw step. And here's a remand, targeting remand. Does Chapin have a card like Dispel or perhaps Spell Pierce here? Maybe even Spell Snare. And he does have Spell Snare. So Spell Snare will counter Remand. Now Remand will counter Vendilion Click, which means Chapin will draw a card. And now Snapcaster Mage will come in. Jace will take down to 2. Knierim, of course, remembering his Jace trigger. And now here's a Scalding Tarn. We might have big angles on the way.
Give a lot of credit to Chapin here. I mean, he's way behind in terms of mana in play. But by playing his spells, timing them well here, he's able to have an extremely efficient turn where he basically eats up everything that Grant did and gets to put a Gurmag Angler into play.
Zombie Fish.
How?
That's not Paul Cheon.
It's looking to go eating.
Is that Paul Cheon?
You can't corner the market on Halfing. And look at this thing. I mean, that's... that thing is ready to eat.
This is not particularly happy fish. What is that thing in its mouth that's like dangling there?
I don't know.
Pretty unclear.
Do not know. Cannot tell from this
It's
vantage point.
it's eating that, whatever it is. We've been told that we believe it's a lure looking to attract prey.
Oh, so is someone going fishing and that's what they brought up as the angler?
Rough beat for that fisherman.
Yeah, that is not where you want to be.
Tough to watch. But to be fair, why are you fishing in Gurmag?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
there are a lot of questions to be asked.
demands more questions than it answers.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Perhaps a lightning bolt strategy. That's one. That's two. The angler has been shot down. Knierim with a healthy amount of lands in play. He's got a real advantage at this point.
Yeah. Mana and card advantage through Jace.
Cryptic Command the draw here for Chapin. One of his favorites. Jace going to take back down to 2. Pass the turn back. Vendilion click. Chapin going to go with Mana Leak here. That's going to be hit with a Spell Snare. That's going to be hit with a Dispel. So both players exchanging a lot of resources here. But actually, it feels like Chapin might be the one starting to pull ahead now.
I think he's still down on the card advantage front, but given his mana stumbles and having to discard a hand size, he is keeping his head above water in this game, and in large part due to how efficient his spells are. You can see Chapin's approach to this matchup is just do awesome things for as little mana as possible. Dispel, Gurmag, Angler, they're all kind of part of the same puzzle.
There are a lot of people very passionate about Gurmag Angler right now on Twitter. Apparently, it's an angler fish. Anglers have natural lures on their foreheads to attract other fish.
Aha!
See, I was not aware of that. You see Electrolyze being cast. Now, I've learned something from everyone on Twitter, which means, you know what that means? A lot of people watching the broadcast right now.
It's awesome.
Thank you guys very much.
Did you fish a lot as a kid?
No.
Okay.
Or I would have known the answer to that question.
Not necessarily. You don't encounter a lot of zombie fish out in the water, so.
You know, I did a lot as a kid, played Siphon Filter.
I don't have no idea what
That's
that
a
is.
video game, not a particularly good one, and I played a lot of it. A creeping tar pit and a passing of the turn. I was a gamer, man. I was a gamer. Jace is going to tick down. Let's take a look at a couple of cards here. Batterskull is 1, Snapcaster is 2, Pestermine is 3. This is a tough split. Jeez.
And Batterskull is a challenging card for Chapin to beat in the long term. He's not really flush with that many answers to it. I suppose Kolaghan's command is very helpful in that respect, but it's a hard card for him to remove from the table. It's also a hard card for him to beat by just working around it.
couple of cards will go to the bottom. Some cards I had to hand. Keranos, I think, is probably the most important card in hand. I wouldn't be surprised if Grant goes for that right now.
Especially with Dispel backup.
Yeah. Seems pretty appealing to slide that through. And we've seen this combination of cards actually a lot over the course of the weekend. Keranos and Jace in play. And if Chapin can't get this thing off the table, he's going to be in some real trouble. Here's Cryptic Command, the Chapin specialty. But you mentioned Dispel, and that'll take care of Kryptos.
Yeah, that's Grant's first really good mana exchange so far. It felt like Chapin was getting a lot of those exchanges earlier that kept his head above water, but now Grant really leveraging his mana advantage.
Now it's unclear how Chapin works his way out of this situation, because a Grixis deck really can't get Keranos off the table.
Yeah. And Grant is at a very high life total, still has cards left over in hand, still has Jace in play.
And I would say that the damage has certainly been done by Jace already.
Yeah.
It's already turned over a couple of cards. Grant's got a lot of options in hand. So now if you're Chapin, you got to figure out a way to get past both of these powerful cards. He's going to start by playing a Steam Fence untapped and taking 2. Maybe it's time for a Snapcaster Mage. Looks like it is. Gonna flashback your Cryptic Command. Looks like he'll go bouncing of Keranos and draw a card. So perhaps the goal is to just keep bouncing Keranos and make Grant tap out for it every turn.
Yep. Or set up a spot where he can return to his hand and then counter on the way back.
That too. Sulfur Falls the draw. The thing is that Grant can switch plans.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to always just keep
It's got
casting
a full
Keranos.
it's got a full hand of cards. I still think this is a stable enough situation for Grant if he wants to plus Jace and redeploy Keranos. He's not at risk of getting tempoed out of this game or burned out at 19 life. And once you resolve Keranos and are able to protect it, the game gets very easy.
Well, it's an attempt at Keranos again. It's going to resolve, of course, because Chapin is tapped out. Jace will take up to 2. And we head back Chapin's way. Chapin will take a draw here. It's an island.
I got a feeling, sooner or later we're going to be going to a game 3 here.
It seems like
It's going to be really hard for Chapin to work his way out of
It
this
seems
one.
really hard for him to slog through all of this, especially if he draws another land.
Yeah.
I think he's got to draw all action, and it's got to be the right action, too. And with time becoming a factor and nothing slow about these matchups, it's something to consider, and you have to imagine Chapin knows that. He'll Cryptic Keranos again and attempt to bounce it. That'll draw him a card. Spell Skites the draw. Here's an attack for 1. That'll knock Jace down to 1. There's Spell Skite. And all Chapin can do is pass the turn back over to Knierim. I mean, you might see just a replay of what we've seen in the past couple of turns, which is Keranos again.
Yeah, nothing's really changed. I mean, Chapin basically ran back the turn he just had here and put a Spell Skite into play.
Yeah. Jace is going to take up again. If you're Knierim, I'm actually pretty happy just drawing lands for a couple of turns. So I can play multiple spells a turn. Keranos plus X. Aha, but Grant has changed what he's going to do now. Chapin draws a Polluted Delta. No action in hand right now for Patrick besides a Terminate.
I suppose part of the reason there to not redeploy Keranos is you don't want Chapin to just turn on the Creeping Tar Pit, take care of Jace. So if he's got removal spells in hand or ways to trade, he may want to do that now and make sure the board is super clean for both Jace and Keranos.
A couple Pester Mites right now in Grant's hand too that maybe he has some interest in casting as Jace goes down to 1. Looks like there'll be at least 1 Pester Mite that's cast. That's going to untap an island. And there'll be another Pester Mite here. And Grant might just have some interest in going beat downs. Going to untap an island, or at least try to.
Devin Cox, please report to the on-demand area for Modern
That'll
Masters
work.
18.
A third Pester Mite?
Talk about switching gears here.
Yeah, we're changing it up. Looking to go beat downs.
Players, you're pairing to round
Chapin gonna play a Terminator, looks like.
pairing to round 2.
Yep.
Legacy Challenge players, please make your way to your seats.
So yeah, we're going bait downs now. Knierim is shifting his game plan. Picked up copy Misty Rainforest for the turn. In we go. Chapin gonna go down to 7. Nothing his board can do about that. We know he's got nothing going on in his hand. Misty Rainforest is the land. Jace will take up to 2. There's a copy of Keranos yet again. Chapin has no cryptic commands for that right now. We'll take a draw. Serum Visions. He'll very quickly cast that. Didn't get a great look at what he drew for the turn, but he will scry, Polluted Delta, and Thought Scour, I believe, are the cards he's looking at. Going to consult the hand and put both those cards to the bottom very quickly. Snapcaster Mage might not have much interest in attacking here. It's not really getting a ton of work done, but it's going to come in here. Jay's going to go down to 1 yet again. Keranos activation. It's a copy of Remand. Now Chapin can redirect that over to a Spell Skite. And that's exactly what he'll do. But now Remand in Knierim's hand. Here's Snapcaster Mage.
And this fulfills the devotion requirement for Keranos as well.
Excuse me. Chapin with a Snapcaster Mage here. Didn't think I'd see Keranos attacking this weekend.
Saw it last week once, I believe.
Yeah. Another Snapcaster Mage. That's going to do it on this game. Grant Knierim's going to win game number 2 here against Patrick Chapin. Blue-Red Twin and Grixis Control are going to go to game 3. You see the clock. 12:30 here left to go. And it doesn't seem like there's anything short about this matchup. Now, Chapin certainly has the ability to get up to some pretty crazy draws that involve Tasigur or Gurmag Angler as soon as turn number 2. So maybe he can really pick up the pace here. We'll see, though. Both players certainly cognizant of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty important in this matchup for Chapin to kind of get out in front of Grant, get underneath Grant, whatever you want to call it, get the first threat into play. And then he can start really leveraging the power of his cheap counter spells and so forth. When the game gets protracted, it's not clear to me who has an edge, but I know that Chapin has an advantage here if he can get a fast Tasigur or a fast Gurmag Angler and apply pressure while Grant's still getting set up.
So many on Twitter have chimed in on the Angler debate, so we're going to put this to rest
I know.
here.
The last time we talked about Gurmag Angler in coverage, we got a lot of tweets about it. I mean, this is a source of passion in the community.
There is, and mostly the passion is because of how wrong we were here in the booth. So apparently the Angler, and we'll take a look at Gurmag Angler right now. What's going on with Gurmag Angler is it is, I believe, human. Okay, that noise I can't really talk
It's
over.
an angler.
Okay, so that's human-shaped prey. It's hanging over his head. Some people have shown us photos of the anglerfish from Finding Nemo.
Okay.
And so it attracts the prey with the thing that's over their head, that's in the mouth there.
Gotcha. All right.
So it's an angler fish, says Jed Campbell. The lure belongs to the fish. It is shaped like a human to draw prey. Read the flavor text. I've been instructed to read this. If everything in the Gurmag swamp hungers for human flesh, what bait could be more effective?
Got it.
A great question. And now it makes more sense. See, I
Learn something new every day.
I'm not much of a fisherman, as many can now tell. But now I have a better understanding of the anglerfish.
I went down to the water once. I was 5 or 6, and my dad had a friend who had a boat somewhere out in the Atlantic in New Jersey. Went out fishing, and I ended up, it was over 100 degrees out in July, and ended up just throwing up over the boat. And I was just holding the rod, kind of passing out. And that was a time where a fish attached itself to my hook, and I was sort of reeling and passing out. My dad ran over all excited and reeled the fish in, and showed it to me, and then I just threw up in the water again because it was 107 degrees out. And so fishing did not stick. I had one really bad fishing
Seems like a traumatic experience for you.
Traumatic's a strong word, but I would.
See,
I did not enjoy it.
I try to stay away from water because I can't swim.
Okay.
So as a result, at fishing, I don't even know if it's required for you to be able to swim to fish.
Depends what you're trying to fish.
Yeah, but I just prefer to stay away from water-based activities. You're never going to find me swimming or, I don't know, what else you do in water or above water outside of flying for my job.
Water skiing.
Nope.
I've never done that.
Parasailing? Is that like above water? Not a water-based
yes.
activity? Yeah, not doing that. I'm very anti-water. Though water is my favorite
Parasailing is
beverage.
above water. Yeah. On the water. Whatever.
Just not for me. Steam vents to begin things here for Chapin. Chapin is picking up the pace here because he knows tick-tock goes the clock. Serum visions. He's drawn a card.
Someone who's been playing control decks for about literally 20 years knows what the issue is with the clock right now. He's gonna pick it up.
Knierim going to sacrifice a land here. You saw him keep Tasker on top, put Gurmag Angler to the bottom. An island and a Relic of Progenitus here for Knierim. Chapin will draw. Takes up that copy of Tasker.
Challenge players.
Relic, a very nice card against Chapin. I mean, look at his threat base here. Snapcaster, Tassiger, Gurmag Angler.
Yeah.
The graveyard matters a lot for what Chapin's trying to do.
Are going up. Please make your way to your seats.
There's a Scalding Tarn and a passing of the turn. There's a Serum Visions. Chapin going to sacrifice his Scalding Tarn. The Relic will remove the land. Now here's a copy of Counter Squall. Well, well, well. We don't see that one very often. My fondest memory, actually, of Counter Squall playing at the second Hawaii Pro Tour in that block, where I boarded it in my all Cascade deck, and then cascaded into it. It won't surprise you that I went 0-5 at that Pro Tour. Just
Yep.
didn't really have a great understanding of how to do anything at that tournament.
I've seen some really good cascades. Cascade and counterspell is really nice.
Yeah, I cast the
Cascade into Banefire. I really like that one a lot.
I played the gain 4 life card. I think it's called Cascading Sunlight or something like that. And yeah, I cascaded right into a Counter Squall. And then I
Nice.
realized I shouldn't be playing in this tournament anymore. Thought Scour here from Chapin. So he quickly untaps and he'll take a draw.
It looks like
Takes a copy
Chapin's
of Kolaghan's command.
Chapin's making some effort here to try to outpace the Relic.
Yeah.
If he can fill up his graveyard fast enough, maybe he's able to sneak in a Tassiger or a Gurmag Angler.
And that's what he's going to try to do. He's sacrificing a fetch land right now. You're going to get a Relic activation to take care of everything. So Grant is on to what Chapin's up to.
Yeah, that was a great play there by Grant, but because you can see by the way that Patrick is moving there, this looked like a Gurmag Angler or a Tassiger was coming.
Yep. And he responded to the sacrificing of the fetch land and said, I don't think so.
Fortunately now for Chapin, though the Relic's out of the way, he can start to try to rebuild and get something in on the cheap, but that's stunted a lot of his development.
A mountain to draw here for Knierim. He'll play a Tectonic Edge past the turn back. Chapin will draw. No edge activation just yet. Thought Scour is what he's found. About 6 minutes left to go here. Chapin will pass the turn. Knierim with a copy of Grim Lavamancer. Here's a copy of Flash Freeze. Chapin's got some spicy ones here.
Sideboard is 4 Fulminator Mage, 2 Dispel, and then some 1-ofs. Flash Freeze, Counter Squall, Slay, Damnation is a Staticaster, Spell Sky, Shriek Maw, Batter Skull, Keranos.
Slay, huh?
Oh, Slay is great.
I'm a big fan of Slay. Plane Shift uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
But it has been reprinted in other sets. Chapin looking to resolve a copy of Tassiger now.
Says a
Knierim
lot
with
about the velocity of Chapin's deck that he's able to get this Tasker into play pretty early through a Relic.
Yeah. Knierim with a copy of Remand in hand, opting not to cast it.
I think he's got a Roast, and he's likely just to tag Tasker.
We actually have a copy of Sower Temptation, maybe? Let's see what this is. It is a Sower. Chapin looks like he's going to have to mana leak. And he will. Mana leak will be countered by remand. So Chapin gets his mana leak back, but now he loses his Tassiger, so now he's going to need a removal spell. However, I think he does have a copy of Kolaghan's Command in hand.
Yeah, a lot of these exchanges are about just mana efficiency from Chapin's side of the table, and mana leak loses the game loses value as the game progresses. So it's not like he had to counter that Sower. It's just a good spot to use mana leak.
Sower's going to get killed by Kolaghan's Command. It's also going to force Knierim to discard a card. He discarded an island there. Here's the Serum Visions from Grant. So he does draw a card, now scry 2. Chapin with some mana issues here, but as you mentioned, he does play a lot of lands in his deck, so this could be something that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, 21 lands, and again, the cantrips are the rationale to be able to cut the land count this low.
Tectonic Edge took care of the land. Roast took care of the Tassiger. And now Lightning Bolt, the draw step here for Chapin. Wants to make sure all the zones are clear. Chapin, all he can do is pass the turn back. Knierim will draw. Looks like he picked up a copy of Remand. Chapin will draw another copy of Gurmag Angler. All he can do is pass the turn back. Graveyard obviously not full enough to cast that card. Scalding Tarn, pass the turn back. Lightning Bolt. We're going upstairs, try to build up Graveyard.
Bang.
13 all.
Chapin's also at risk of having to discard soon, so might as well cash it in.
Pass that turn back. Knierim will draw. Copy of Remand. Chapin going to sacrifice a land here. You see he's moving and grooving. Knierim is too. Both these players do not want to draw. As you mentioned, draw good as a loss here on day number 1. Here's a Cryptic Command. That's going to get remanded. Knierim will draw a card off of that.
I really like that play a lot from Chapin. He's just he's bottlenecked on mana. He just needs to cast stuff as much as he possibly can. It's games like this where you can see how strong of a philosophical understanding Chapin has of Magic. These plays are not necessarily intuitive, but he realizes, I got 7 cards in my hand, I have to just cast what I can cast, even though Cryptic Command is not great bouncing a land and drawing a card. It's 4 mana, and I just have to start spending my mana somehow.
You saw Gurmag Angler get cast. Remand was the attempt there from Knierim, but that got spell snared. Now he says, how you like Cryptic Command, buddy? Pick up that Angler and draw a card. Creeping Tar Pit draw here for Chapin. He'll play that, pass the turn back very quickly. Underneath 2.5 minutes here. Both these players playing as fast as they possibly can. Here's that Cryptic Command play yet again. It's going to resolve. Steam Vents gets picked up. Chapin trying to build a little bit of velocity here with Cryptic Command. Pass the turn back. He's got another command in his hand. Looks like he may want to cast that again. Knierim's going to sacrifice a fetch land. Can one of these players finish in time? They're both certainly trying.
It goes to show you just how Cryptic Command can get kind of bad in these tempo blue situations where it's just so expensive. Chapin is not overvaluing them. He's just casting them to get him out of his hand, draw cards, find cheaper stuff to do, maybe send Grant's mana back a little bit.
He also just wants to get some cards in his graveyard for the Anglers.
Yeah.
Because those things hit hard if he can get them into play. There's the Angler. Knierim going to sacrifice a land here. But there might be a slight pause in the action. It's unclear. Looks like Chapin requesting a time extension given that pause. Snapcaster Mage in response to the Gurmag Angler. Here's Cryptic Command. Going to remand the Cryptic Command. So that gets exiled. Gurmag Angler looks like it's going to be in here. There's a Steam Vents. Here's Electrolyze. Draw a card. Looks like there's probably a Lightning Bolt involved too. Yep. There goes Big Angles. Attack for 2. See our clock updated there. A little time extension due to the judge ruling. Three mana. Watergrave's going to enter the battlefield untapped. Kolaghan's command. Shoot that for 2, deal 2 to you. Perhaps. Looks like it was rebuy. Nope, okay, it was
Discard a card.
shoot and discard. Players are playing so fast, trying to keep up with them a little difficult here.
Once again, Grand Prix competitors, that is time in the round.
Chapin will pass the turn back. Knierim will draw. There's a land. Pass the turn back. Chapin will take a draw step. So important for one of these players to finish. They're certainly trying. All Chapin can do is pass the turn back. Knierim's going to sacrifice a fetch land. Wants to get a card out of his deck. But tick-tock does go to the clock because there's a steam fence.
Chapin here sitting on a hand that's going to make it pretty hard for Grant to put together a victory. Terminate plus Snapcaster Mage is asking a lot here.
There's a Misty Rainforest. Chapin going to play a Snapcaster Mage. We'll see if he wants to actually flash anything back because having cards in the graveyard is pretty important, but he will flash back Kolaghan's command.
Yeah. Just trying to get into shots while he can against Grant. Wear down his resources a little bit, get some pressure going. Hopefully the Snapcaster Mage eats a removal spell. You get closer and closer to getting your Gurmag Angler into play.
Grant has a Snapcaster Mage of his own. Chapin wants to see what's in the graveyard. This looks like there was an even longer time extension from something prior in the match, so it looks like our time is all the way updated here with 3:30 left to go. We do have it confirmed from our table spotter exactly how much time is left. There's a Terminate to take care of the Snapcaster Mage. Chapin looking to build a bit of a graveyard. Grant trying to stave him off. Here's him dealing, clicking the draw step. Looks like that's going to be mana leaked. Grant is running out of resources here.
Yeah, and Chapin with the Creeping Tar Pits is leftovers here too. He can flip and start going on the offensive very fast.
That's what he's been trying to do for some time now. Some players mentioning that it looks like Chapin and Knierim are playing in fast forward. They certainly are playing that fast.
Yeah, the pace of play is definitely picked up here. And maybe you see a little bit of sloppiness as a result of this. Maybe play is not as tight as both players would like if they had all the time to work with. But again, 6-1. A win gets you into day 2. A draw is the same thing as a loss at this stage. Both players should be erring on the side of fast but a little sloppy rather than tight but a little slow.
Here's a Sower Temptation right off the top there for Knierim. That's a pretty big draw. Take that Angler. All of a sudden, he's looking at lethal on the table. We head back Chapin's way. You can see there, the players playing so fast. Grant actually only tapped 3 mana for the Sower Temptation. Purely accidental. Got plenty of mana to work with. Here's a Snapcaster Mage. Removal spell going to go after the Sower. Chapin's going to get his Angler back. Now Patrick's going to fire up the Tar Pit, get in here for 3 points of damage, or at least try to.
Putting together their lethal attack for next turn.
Yeah.
Cosmo Crow. Cosmo Crow.
Here's a Deceiver Exarch.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Tap your land. Will Grant peel him out here? Nope. All I can do is pass the turn back. No Splinter Twin off the top of the deck. Would have been a big draw.
That would have been a pretty impressive way for Grant to steal this one.
A Thought Scour to start things off perhaps here for Patrick. You still see he's moving still super fast at this point. He'll turn over 2 cards. So fast he can barely even turn the cards over the top of his deck. Lightning Bolt is the card that was found. Perhaps he's going to fire up a Creeping Tar Pit. He's even a little unsure now. Trying to move so fast with a minute left in the game.
Well, what he would like to do right now is find, is there an attack I can make to force Grant to chump block the Gurmag Angler with the Deceiver Exarch? And then you don't have to worry about the Splinter Twin combo. As it stands, I don't think Chapin can win the game against a twin off the top. No removal spell in hand for the Exarch.
Tar Pits are going to fire up here. At least one.
And this attack is lethal without a chump block. And even with a chump block, the bolt finishes it off.
There's your chump block. That's a bad sign if you're Grant. Grant's going to go down to 2. Here's an angler. I think Chapin may be trying to draw on a counter spell here to resolve the lightning bolt.
Yeah, he might just bolt inside of Grant's upkeep here.
Yep. I also could see where he just doesn't make a move because he doesn't have to.
Right, he doesn't have to, and he doesn't want to play the Spell Pierce here.
Yep.
And he can, if Grant has found Cryptic Command and response, you just bolt in response and you're good.
Turn 2 of extra turns here. Chapin may cast the Serum Visions he's just drawn, or he might wait. The hand is nothing useful there for Grant Knierim. And Patrick Chapin's going to win this match here over Grant, 2-1. Grixis Control will take care of Blue-Red Twin, and Chapin was able to get things done just in time. He moves on to 7-1 here. It's a Grixis tournament. It certainly seems that way, and he gets the W.
And I think Chapin has a pretty big edge in these games with a light land count and a lot of cantrips.
He does have a lot of cantrips.
He just had more spells at the end of the game than Grant did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like there was a moment you could point to where you said, oh, that's where Chapin drew 4 cards. That's where Chapin got his huge advantage. He was just a little bit more efficient with some of his spells there and had a little bit more gas in the tank there towards the end because of all the cantrips he was playing and the lighter land count rather than playing fewer cantrips and more lands.
Impressive win.